some gains, and they have to sell it to something, and guess what? They either sell it to Bitcoin or they sell it to Ether. That's when we'll go to the next round, which is now that these guys have got a whole raft of Ether from all their investments of dollars that are moved into coins that are then moved into Ether or Bitcoin, that they now need to put the Bitcoin or the Ether to use, which is when they'll then invest the crypto into the next round of projects. So I almost kind of see this like as maybe it's a temporary sort of transitionary period that'll take some time because there's a lot more big money coming in now. That's very visible to me, but it's just going to take a little bit longer because of it. So,
Sure.
So what the fork? I mean, the rest of us who are supposed to be crowdfunding, get off your backsides and start putting some money in and stop sitting around. This is a bear market. Who cares? This is when you're supposed to invest. Buy low, sell high. By the way, this is not advice. This is just a fact. That's why it's called the coin chat, not the coin advice.
Definitely. Coin, not investment advice. So being part of that is the market right now, Bitcoin, again, dropping below 6,000. Does that make you nervous? What are some indicators you see that will help bring it up, if any?
Well, so I had I had a really interesting chat just yesterday with an old client of mine, and I don't mean old as in old because he's not that old. I mean, he's a bit older than me, but a guy that I've known for many, many years. And here's the interesting, he's going to be on our chat in a couple of weeks, so we've started talking to him. So we won't say who he is yet, but he was in the world of banking for many, many years. And the interesting thing that he said to me was, there's a higher probability of Lehman's, which is where he used to work, going to zero, because we know it collapsed, than Bitcoin going to zero. So here you've got a guy that spent many, many years working in Lehman's, Credit Suisse, working in banking as a managing director and IT projects for on big system stuff, banking stuff, and not small stuff. And he's left that and now is playing in crypto. I mean, if that's not a validation of what's going on, that he said, you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm going to go do something a little more interesting. And he's playing around with all sorts of things in crypto, trying to get his bearings and figuring out what's what and what he can do in the space. If he decides to stay in it or not, it's another matter. But, I mean, it's okay. Things go up and go down. There's been a lot of speculation about why Bitcoin price went as high as it did. Lots of speculation. I don't think we actually know the reasons why. But it might have been a money play. It might have been manipulated. It might be just the way things traded. But it's trading in a range between, just under 6 and 7. So isn't that better if it's trading in a range than just clearly going down or going up? It's like such a pace, like an airplane going straight up. If an airplane's going straight up, eventually the engines are going to stall and it's going to come right back down. So aren't we Betty who? Aren't we better off with something that's a little bit more steady state? So I don't mind this sort of in-between thing. I think everybody would prefer it just going up, up, and up, but that's not reality. So no, I'm not particularly concerned because everybody that I'm speaking to, as I say, in the bigger money space are moving in. In fact, that just to complement that, I saw an article on Cointelegraph, I think it was, that was mentioning something about, here it is. ING Bank survey reveals interest in crypto will double in the near future. So how's that for verification or validation of what we're saying here? Just as an example. So I'm not particularly worried about it. I think we're just in the middle of a cycle, and you need to have ups and you need to have downs. So listen, everybody that doesn't have Bitcoin, now might be a good time to think about buying it just because it's low. Don't buy it when it's high. Again, this is not advice. This is just observation. The price is low. Buy low, sell high. That's just fact. That's what any money manager will tell you. So I'm not telling you anything different than what everyone else already knows out there, that it makes money. So don't despair. Just write it out. Warren Buffett didn't make his money by selling when it was low and buying high. He's made a lot of money just on the stock market by just playing in the lows.
Yeah, buying, and then he buys more when it's low. And he
accumulating and accumulating and accumulating when it's at the bottom. and he's
Yeah.
done very well following. If you follow his rules and techniques, which we probably all should do a bit more of, because it's hard to be disciplined with trading, and I don't like trading because I get too emotional. And every trader I talk to says, you got to take the emotion out of it, Steve. I go, yeah, but it's my money. How am I supposed to not be emotional about losing it? Yeah, you lose it one day, you make it back the next. Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, me either. It feels much better when it's going up and up and up, and you're making the money, as opposed to the days where it's crashing and you're losing it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, is there anything else interesting you're seeing happening?
So, I mean, there was Andreessen Horowitz and his firm, which is a big, fund, have announced they're going into crypto. I think you actually shared that. We both shared the article with each other. There was another article I saw that, that there's an expectation that ETFs, electronically traded funds, will come soon. And the article I saw, which I'll share, of course, I'll share all of these, things that we refer to down in the description below on our YouTube channel. But the ETF article said that expects that the ETFs themselves will drive Bitcoin to 35,000, which is amazing. That's higher than the price target that Tom Lee from Fundstrat sets for end of year, which is 25,000 roughly. So that, I mean, look, if you get big money guys like Horowitz dropping in, and you've got, ETFs coming in, then, we're in this little chasm of things are about to happen. Watch this space, because it's also summertime and summers are quieter. People go on holidays, they take a break. You know the expression, right? Sell in May and go away. And when do they start buying?
Back in August.
September? Yeah.
September. That's right, because Europe's on vacation in August.
Europe just takes, the UK is not as religious about it, but yeah, a lot of European countries do take August completely off, or July or August. I mean, what I usually find for me was when I was in a sales role in, financial IT, I couldn't do a deal in July, August, because between July and August, one guy was gone and then the other, and there was always an approval between at least two people, and there was never both of them there.
Right.
So I closed all my deals in May, June, or September, October, consistently. So if this is anything to go by, then big money guys are going on holidays now for the next 2 months. So just wait, close your eyes, go take a holiday break, come back and look at the Bitcoin in September, and come back and tell me then, were we right or were we wrong about Bitcoin and Ether and everything else starting to recover in September? Because that's pretty much what I think will probably happen, and that's what a lot of people that I've spoken to have said. So let's just watch and see, and we'll see if the advice and the information that's been shared with us is accurate. It's a great thing to watch and monitor.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
But in the meantime, put your money into ICOs and stop sitting around and watching. Watching doesn't do you any good, and it just gives everybody else an opportunity to get it while you don't. So the ICO world is not dead, but the crowdfunding is. I'm really just, it's annoying me. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's painful. It's really painful having clients and they're saying, why is there no money coming in? And I say, ask the crowd why they're not investing. I don't know why they're not putting money in. I can speculate, but I'm not asking everybody. But I see a lot of conversation, a lot of interest, a lot of expression of, yeah, I'm going to put in, X amount and blah, blah, blah. And they don't do it. And I don't know why.
I don't know. Just holding back right now, I guess. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, they're hodling to the extreme.
They are.
This is where we talked about hold on for dear life has gone a little too far. So what else have you been seeing? And you're looking at this from another microscope or lens as such. So what do you see is going on?
Well, I mean, just like the market in general.
Yeah. Or what are you hearing from your friends in MIT? Or what's, you talk to a different, crowd of people who are generally really in startup mode of crypto more so than I do. So you kind of represent the other side of the coin, which is other people who don't want to put money in or are afraid. So what do you hear on that side of things?
So actually what I'm hearing more on that side is less actually about the cryptocurrency side and more about just expanding blockchain applications into a lot of different markets. So there are a lot of private companies, both large and startup world, who are just spending more time focusing on how they can integrate blockchain into solving a solution for something. whether it is like in the construction space, actually, which is what I've been looking at too recently. There's a lot of companies coming in now who want to help. It's called building information modeling or management,
Yeah.
BIM. And so how can you
why
run
the construction space in particular then?
So there's a lot of different industries that can be, I would say, just increased with efficiency. And that's one of those where there's a lot of information that has to be shared around. And so doing that kind of information on a blockchain would make it more secure, more efficient, and allow basically the building to alert the people in charge of when it needs to be, like when things need to be regulated or changed or all kinds of things. So it's just, there's a lot of different players now finding ways they can make systems more efficient in different areas. And it's similar across a lot of different platforms, but it's all about just, again, efficiency and security, which a lot of companies are really focused on. So that's what I see more of I see less cryptocurrency stuff, at least in this area, and more of just solutions.
Okay, so they're talking more like the blockchain benefits and the ways it can be used in different industry sectors to deploy, to add value, not so much about the individual coins, not about the individual ICO projects.
Right.
Okay, so it's a much more industry-focused discussion. And what about kind of your friends who aren't in crypto? What are they saying?
My friends who aren't in crypto, they want to know more about crypto, and they want to know what's happening. Bitcoin's not going away. There's a lot of buzz that keeps on happening with it as the price rises and falls. And so there's a lot of people who want to get involved, but they're scared because of the giant fluctuations in the price. But they still ask a lot of questions like, why should I pay attention to cryptocurrency? What's happening? Like, what does it mean? What are long-term, what are the long-term factors? Is it really like the internet back in the 1990s, or is it internet back in the 1980s? Like, there's a lot of,
that's interesting.
There's a lot of people I've seen, well, at least that analogy, I've seen people make the 1990s.
Yeah, and as I think I've said to you before, what I've often seen was that from all the IT implementations I got involved with in my previous days in career, there was always this thing about, kind of three phases of implementing a system. And the first was sort of basic information. The second was to, build function or to build just basic functions. And the second was to turn those functions into some form of an application, as in an app. And so I'm making a comparison here of internet being about just generally functions and information only, that then led to various forms of web-based and mobile phone apps. And the third phase, which was always done in the world of IT that I lived in the last 20 years, was process. Mm-hmm. And what blockchain represents to me is, an app is kind of not really a process. Okay, I mean, sure, you might buy an airplane ticket, but that's not an end-to-end business process that starts from something and ends at something else. Blockchain to me is a much greater way to go across multiple systems. For example, to manage a flow process in the sense of manufacturing process, everything from the creation of that product, where it moves through, all the way to the end user where it's received. And that's a pretty fundamental shift from internet, which couldn't really do that. But blockchain is just that next layer. So it kind of feels to me like, that makes a lot of sense to have these discussions around the benefits of blockchain as a technology, notwithstanding all the startups. But, it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, and that process you just described, there is a, University of North Carolina, I think, right now, that's actually doing that. So they have a separate factory facility where they're going through the manufacturing process and having up different blockchains monitor every single every single step of the manufacturing process and seeing how that operates. So it's being tested and pushed right now in academic and then also startup settings. So this is going to be really exciting in the next few years.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a lot. I mean, I've seen comments from even banks saying that, blockchain's not going away. We're surprised there's not more. In fact, there was something else I saw in the news. NASDAQ did a report that only 5% of the stock market IT providers have done anything in blockchain. I was actually surprised it was that high.
Oh yeah.
I mean, who knew that was, but that's a report from NASDAQ that came out, again, I saw that on Cointelegraph. So thank you, Cointelegraph, for helping me to stay informed. But that's a really interesting thing to know that, if 5% have done it, that's a great step in the right direction to see that these things are actually being deployed and used.
Oh yeah.